All right, first things first, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Stephen, Matt, thank you very much, and the whole Prohibition Partners team, Cannabis Europa, putting this together. And we've had a great day so far. We are here today, and I have to say it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be with the two, I can't say colleagues, a colleague and a gentleman from the Health Ministry in Switzerland here on stage to share a bit more of the state of play. I think in Switzerland we can almost say it's a state at play. We'll go a little bit into the medical side, but not too deep, because I think the exciting part that is changing the overall dynamic of the industry at the moment are the pilot projects for adult use. This as a little entry, Christian Wertz, maybe share a little bit about your background, what you've done in the past, and specifically your doings in the medical cannabis.
Thank you very much. My name is Christian Wertz. I'm a scientific associate with the Federal Office of Public Health in Switzerland. I'm a trained biologist, geneticist, came to the FOPH around 3.5 years ago, and my expertise is cannabis, in particular regulations of growing, cultivation of cannabis. So I'm actually working with applications for licenses for growing cannabis in Switzerland, which is currently only possible for medical application, for scientific purposes, and development of medicines. In Switzerland, as you said, we have some important changes which already have been done. So in terms of medical cannabis, so before last year, August 1st, it was only possible to be treated with medical cannabis if you had a license or an authorization, an exceptional authorization, which was issued by the Federal Office of Public Health. Since last year, 1st of August, this is possible only with a prescription by the doctor, so there is no need for an exceptional authorization, which of course gives a lot more freedom to the physicians, and of course, makes it possible to be treated with medical cannabis more easily. And so we were hoping that a lot more patients can actually be treated with medical cannabis, because we have a lot of patients in Switzerland which get their medicines from the black market, which is certainly not the way to go. Also, there is one additional hurdle which remains, that is that the physicians who treat their patients with medical cannabis need to transfer data to our office so that we can have an overview and use those data for further scientific purposes. Another big thing which changed is that the offices which are dealing with medical cannabis changed. So it's not the Federal Office of Public Health anymore, but rather Swissmedic. That's basically what the change in law was about.
Thank you very much. In the medical space, a big change, and finally some dynamic. I know it's been well received by the industry, and it's been well received by the patients' associations. In the end, it's all about creating access, and I think there's been some really nice future-oriented steps being taken by Switzerland. We heard it before a few times. Switzerland might have it a bit easier. That's what you think. There is still a lot of hurdles to go through. There is still a lot of legal frameworks that have to be amended for what we're about to talk now. And I think, well, first of all, thank you for your review on the medical space. But at the moment, what is, I guess, the big changing thing is adult use, pilot projects, recreational. Everybody until a couple of weeks ago was thinking, Switzerland is doing their thing, and they were all hoping that Germany will pressure through and just do their, full legalization, which in the court of order and law under UN regulation would have been creating a lot of problems. And I'm not just saying that I think it's the right thing that happened because our general involvement in Switzerland in those parts, but in the end, there's no blueprint for a legalization out there that works. Yes, Malta has done their own framework, if you want to call it so. It's even smaller than Switzerland, so it's quite easy to keep an island contained when it comes to something like cannabis. We as Switzerland also see ourselves sometimes a little bit as an island, but in this case, we really are longing and looking to be more harmonized with all our neighbors around. And to be able to do so, Switzerland has a very long history with cannabis. Switzerland has been in and out of trying to move this industry further for the last 20 plus years. And what has happened now over the last 2-3 years, the formulation of those frameworks came together was that based on an exemption, based on pilot studies, we were able to move forward as a country, as a company. We were able to really closely monitor, for the lack of better terminology, the overall approaches. Now, Pia, you've heard me talk more than enough now, and in general, in the office. I think a lot of people here want to hear what is happening on the ground. What are you, first of all, who are you? What are you doing? What is happening on the ground? Why is this such a great initiative? And how does it allow every stakeholder in the industry to participate in what is happening?
It's a very long question. Okay, just very quickly, thanks for having me. I'm Pia, I'm part of the team at Cannavigia. We provide a track and trace solution for cannabis that allows you to, well, trace your plant from seed to sale. Our involvement with these pilot trials and with the Federal Office of Public Health is that the office was looking for such an existing system, and then we kind of developed an additional part to the software that would allow public study leaders to use it to register participants, and dispensaries, be that pharmacies, social clubs, whatever the dispensary form is, to use it at the point of sale to sell those products to participants. Well, my role in this, being part of a software development team, I talk to a lot of the stakeholders, the Federal Office of Public Health, the police, the study leaders, as well as pharmacists and a couple of participants, just to kind of hear what their requirements were towards a system like ours, and then take that up and build the software out of it. I don't know how aware everybody is of the setup of the pilot trials. If we want to get a little bit into this, to you, Christian.
Yeah, I guess it's worthwhile to just describe the pilot trials, the regulations of the pilot trials. Of course, this is regulated. You cannot do whatever you want. And I want to start with the goals of the pilot trials, basically gathering information, data, real-life data on the regulation, the consumption of cannabis by consumers, if they can legally buy high-quality standard cannabis products. What products do they use? What kind of results do we get out of the use? Is there anything that has an influence of the personal situation or the psychological situation, all these kind of things. So it's and that's important. It's not a medical study, but it's rather a real life study. And the goal is to, as I said, get information on a future regulation of cannabis, so that we don't only theoretically set up the regulations for legalization, but rather have some information beforehand, particular for Switzerland, because of course we could look at other countries which are maybe already further in the process, but it's I guess also from country to country, at least in the details, very different. So this gives us the opportunity to actually look what happens if you can provide cannabis to people who would like to consume the cannabis, and that's a very important thing. Coming to the specifics, it's the whole law is active for 10 years, but the individual pilot trial can only last for 5 years, can extend it for 2 years, so that it's in total 7 years. It's a cap of 5,000 participants of the pilot trials. So the one that we already approved for Basel was a very small one, but the ones which we approved later on in Zurich and Lausanne are over 2,000 or 1,600 participants, so they get even bigger. People can buy up to 10 grams pure THC. That means, for example, 100 grams per month of 10% THC. It's also a cap of 20% THC of the products. What else do we have? Of course, you have to be 18. You cannot be pregnant. And of course, also very important point, you need to prove that you have been an active cannabis user before. Those are basically the most important points, I guess.
Thank you very much. And one thing that very often kind of falls through the cracks was that the Federal Office of Public Health in Switzerland has, after a long process back and forth with the industry and with the stakeholders from municipalities, police, drug addiction boards, has come up with something where they allow everybody to come together and put forward studies on how this can work. So they did not proactively take away, this is how it should work, which I, from my personal view, think is a very, very future-oriented approach. Now, Switzerland is a very small country, and every different project has been submitted now. In Basel, it's 370 participants, 9 pharmacies. In Zurich, it's 2,001 or 2,200 with 21 points of sale, where it is, pharmacies, social clubs, dispensaries, I believe, and we have this drug distribution centers in Switzerland. So and then you have other cantons where it's purely through the drug distribution centers, which is like the methadone program for heroin addicts we have in Switzerland. So even in a small country like this, you have so many different approaches to how this could look like. And that's something that I think is really important for whatever is about to happen around Europe. Not saying that Switzerland has figured it out, because the beauty of what we figured it out is that nobody has figured it out. We figured out a system that allows everybody to come together and bring this forward. And yes, we could say, okay, well, no, we can't say Holland and America and all these beautiful systems that have been started now have worked, because I'm not going to name the numbers. I've said that many times, but they've all tremendously failed in my humble opinion. And to give some, I think we can give a little bit of first insights. January 30th was the first legal gram THC sold over the counter in Europe. Pia, you were there. I follow it from a distance because there's a lot of things going on in the company and a lot of things going on there. Also, a lot of things that are very confidential also, but before we go into some of your real life problems, one thing that I picked up was you arrived at a pharmacy and they asked, are you bringing the internet? So we're talking real life problems here with well-established pharmacies in a country like Switzerland. Anything else you'd like to share? But that's the fact. That's
the fact. I mean, absolutely, it was. This was one of the challenges for me personally, was, when you're in touch with all these different dispensaries, and in the case of Basel, it's just pharmacies, and we provide the software and the web-based system, and for them it's like, okay, well, we don't have any internet. Well, that's then a problem you got to fix, of course. But what I wanted to share was, yes, I was there at the day when the first legal cannabis went over the counter, and actually got a chance to witness the purchase and talk to the participant. And what struck me was that this person said, "This is so great. Now I can legally purchase this. I'm not, a criminal anymore, and I don't have to this particular product that he bought. Apparently, the flower, he usually had to travel to." I believe it was Morocco or something to get it. So, so he was very happy that he could just going to the pharmacy, and I thought it was a striking moment. The fact that he said, I'm not a criminal anymore. So yeah.
And this brings a big point there. I think, Christian, when we very first talked about it, there was a lot of doubts. Will people sign up for this? Will people come out of the shadows? Will people actually declare themselves? Now, we've managed to create a system that is pseudonymized, and so they're not really publicly anywhere. But how was your feedback and experience with participants signing up?
That's, for me, one of the most interesting and exciting things about the pilot projects. I've been involved in the whole project now for 3.5 years now, and when we started building up the whole regulation, of course you think, what happens if you do this, what happens if you do this, and will there even be someone interested or even daring to participate? Because of course, I mean, you give data to the organizers of the pilot projects, and the feedback I initially, like 3 years ago, I got this, I would never participate because, data is not secure in our days. And now seeing the first pilot project starting and the next ones in Zurich, for example, already recruiting the participants. I mean, it's overwhelming how many people want to participate. And we already got the first feedback from the people who take part at the Basel pilot projects, and everyone's very happy with the products. It's very interesting to see what choice of products they have. And it seems like, yeah, everyone who is involved is very happy. Also the pharmacists, they said, okay, it's not those drug addict people who come into our pharmacy, but it's normal people who want to talk about the products they want to buy, and that just makes everything a little bit more normal, even though we still have news reports where people don't want to show themselves because they are using cannabis, and I guess that's one of the things that hopefully in a couple of years, with the help of the pilot projects, will change. So it seems like, at least for the time being, the pilot projects are running smoothly, successfully, and there is no problem with any of the consumers and with the project so far.
Well, our time is up, and I believe you're all hungry. At least I am. I'd love to continue talking to all of you. We have a booth upstairs. I'll be very happy to welcome you there. Share a bit more about some of the outcomes right now. Share a bit more about our insights into what we think can, will, and hopefully will push the industry further in other parts for these model projects. But first and foremost, thank you very much, Christian. Thank you very much, Pia, for being part of this beautiful panel.
Thank you.